Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Post-Up Podcast. This is Cyrus Rogers.
And this is Kaunda Chama.
Well, we are post-All-Star, the Post-Up Podcast post-All-Star. Sheesh, I couldn't say that long.
That's cool, yeah. The Post-Up Podcast post-All-Star. I love it.
I tried to do that 10 times fast.
Cyrus.
I couldn't even do it once.
Just to kick it off.
Yeah.
How was North Carolina?
Well, it was great from my house.
Oh, okay, just check. I saw someone like you in the crowd.
No, it wasn't me. It was Montel Jordan.
Oh, yes, there is that.
Look, let's get into it. The All-Star Weekend was just fantastic. So much to talk about.
Yep.
When you look at the on-court stuff that happened, it was almost blown out the water by the announcement by the commissioner about the Basketball Africa League, which is possibly the most exciting thing to come out of the NBA since the NBA Africa game.
Yeah, I think we had Basketball Without Borders for many years. Then the NBA Africa game phenomenon started happening there. Now it's like, whoa, guess what? Now there's a league that's coming in 2020.
And I mean, that's amazing. But we'll get to that towards the end of the podcast. I think let's go through the weekend itself. And what a weekend it was. You know, one of my favorite things about All-Star Weekend is that it is unlike anything else that happens on the planet.
Oh, right.
You can think of a World Cup, a soccer World Cup, or a rugby World Cup, or, you think of the Super Bowl or the World Series in baseball. I'm even leaving ice hockey out of this. Can't believe it. The Stanley Cup final. But the thing about it is that the All-Star Weekend is 3 days of unbelievable action, where the fans get to rub shoulders with the very best players in the league and see them do things that they don't normally do. That Friday night with the Rising Stars Challenge is fantastic. Then you've got the Skills Challenge, what do they call it? All-Star Saturday Night.
All-Star Saturday Night, yeah.
With the Skills Challenge, the Slam Dunk Contest, and the Three-Point Contest. And then you've got the All-Star Game itself to round off the weekend. I mean, what an amazing sequence of events.
Cyrus, I just want to ask you this question. In total, how many hours of sleep did you get over the weekend?
Let's not go there because, if we start counting those over the 3 days, you start thinking maybe I might become a vampire, It's tough. That's zombie territory.
We all started off Saturday morning, which was Friday night in the US, Saturday morning for us. Rising Stars Challenge.
Yeah, and you know what I love about the Rising Stars Challenge is that it's way better than the celebrity game, which is also fun, right? But the Rising Stars Challenge, pitting a Team World versus Team USA, and you've got a Team World that had some amazing players in it. Luka Doncic, for one, you think of him as being the major highlight, and people are like, okay, fine, he can do his thing, but then Ben Simmons is there.
Yeah, and DeAndre Ayton is there.
Exactly. Lauri Markkanen. We had 2 Nigerian kids involved in Josh Okogie and OG Anunoby, the British-Nigerian players, and they seem to have a blast.
Now, Cyrus, I watched that Friday night game, right? Or Saturday morning game.
Yeah.
Let me be honest.
Yes.
It wasn't as exciting as I've seen in previous years. The guys looked like they were taking it easy. I don't know if maybe they were saving themselves for the regular season or avoiding any sudden injury or,
It happens.
It was a bit relaxed in certain points where I was like, but what is going on? Like, there was a point where Donovan Mitchell was trying to go for this off the glass self-pass thing and missed the glass.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, we are really taking it.
Here comes the cheesy joke. Missed the glass. Yeah.
He definitely is missed the glass. Oh my word! Look, and I guess they're exhibition games, Cyrus. And sometimes being a basketball fan, I expect more than I get. If you understand what I mean, I forget. I'm like, this is not regular season.
This is also the All-Star game. It sells you the dream of the very best players are going to go toe to toe. And you don't necessarily get that because they're like, well, reputations, injury, you don't want to go into any of those things. And I think the Rising Stars Challenge has been very competitive over the years where these guys, have gotten to the big stage and they try to show what they can do in front of a massive audience. But this time it seemed like, okay, look, let's do what the big boys do, not going to guard too much.
No.
And I mean, then you end up with a final score that reads Team USA 161 and Team World 144. They didn't lack for buckets.
No, they didn't. It was like, okay, you try. Maybe you try. Look, and it was entertaining. I'll tell you this much. It was entertaining. The softballs were good. The rookies came out, blazing. And we expected a high-scoring game. And I'm glad for Team USA because they won. They were 1-3.
They were.
And they were in danger of going 1-4. And
now they are 2-3.
Yeah, I guess. Which is better
Well
than
done,
1
Team
and 4.
USA.
Which is better than 1 and 4.
That is
Cyrus.
true. That is
so,
true.
you know, I was thinking, you know, they really need to win this one. And with having Kyrie as their coach, I think that helped a little bit. You know, if Uncle Drew is coaching you.
Yeah, you know, I let's not put too much emphasis on the coaching. But I think the thing is that the kids had fun.
They had lots
and
of
when
fun.
you look at it, I mean, no one had more fun than the Rising Stars Challenge MVP, Kyle Kuzma. 35 points in the game, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He was out there doing what Kyle Kuzma does.
Cyrus, that just goes to show you what an integral part of the Lakers he is.
Yeah.
If you look at the you know, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo Ball, to me, that young core that we speak about at
The
the
young
Lakers.
linchpins.
Yes, what we speak about.
Who
when we
were
speak about
on
young
the
Lakers.
trading block, ready to go. Their bags had just about been packed.
Let's not go back there. that was a very uncomfortable time for us Lakers fans.
Well,
Very uncomfortable
but it was
time.
happening. We can't deny it. Anyway, but we're talking all-star here.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about that, and I think this is the other thing, is that when you look at the pieces that have been talked about in terms of possible pieces for a trade for Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma was one of those, and he'd be a good asset and a good pickup. But so was Jason Tatum, who scored 30 points and got 9 rebounds in the Rising Stars Challenge. He is a phenomenal player, and also the winner of the skills challenge. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that, because I think the thing that what was interesting about the Rising Stars Challenge was seeing how the youngsters just had fun and also showcasing their abilities, because John Collins was a dunk machine. A dunk machine. He was practicing his dunks before the dunk contest.
I think so. I was about to say, no wonder he wound up in the dunk contest, because look, you can't fault the John Collins. He's lean, mean, and he's a dunking machine. He's tall.
Goodness, you should trademark that.
He's a lean, mean dunking machine.
You know.
I think somebody else probably has that, but probably Giannis.
That's it. That's it.
But you know, he's skilled. I mean, there's no denying the skills quality of John Collins. I mean, he's doing great things at the Hawks. I think he's part of their future, definitely.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, lots of kids were here. De'Aaron Fox, you know, Donovan Mitchell. They all showed up.
They really did.
And it's great. I mean, I know that the score was high and there was not too much defense being played, but I suppose they're there to show up for the fans, right?
That's it. And the interesting thing for me, and it was something that people didn't really talk about, because you mentioned De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox was one of only 3 players in the entire game to not score in double figures. He only scored 2 points. He had 16 assists.
I was about to say, did you see his assist numbers?
But he only had 2 points. You look at Jarrett Allen, he only had 2 points. But it's not really just about the points in this kind of game. It's really about just having fun. And the players did that. Let's talk about All-Star Saturday Night.
All-Star Saturday Night. Cyrus, I woke up, sleep in my eyes. And I'm like, yo, I'm watching this. And as you know, it's always packed with great fun. It starts off with a skills challenge. We had some bigs in there. We had Nikola Vucevic. We had Nikola Jokic. You know,
Luka Doncic
was in there. Trae Young was in there. Jason Tatum was in there. It was
Mike
fantastic.
Conley.
It
was great to have these guys involved. And I think what's nice about the skills challenge, because it's grown on me over the years, I always thought, oh man, this is just a glorified obstacle course.
I think the new format works nice.
It does. It really does. And it's fun. In fact, it's one of the most fun events on All-Star Saturday Night, because when you look at it, you got these bigs going up against the smaller guys. And the smaller guys are killing them for pace. They're absolutely killing them for pace. But then you never know who's going to hit that shot. And
that 3, it's all about that last 3, Cyrus.
Exactly.
You can get the pass, okay. You can bob and weave through the obstacles, nice. But if
you're not hitting that 3, you're done. And that's what led to Jason Tatum winning that thing, because he faced Trae Young in the final of the skills challenge, but hitting an almost half-court 3-point shot to win it was just the icing on the cake.
Well, Cyrus, I think when you're a guy the size of Tatum with the skill set of Tatum, you know when you're up against Trae Young and he's ahead of you.
You've got to try anything.
Because that's a high percentage shot for him. So I think that what Jason Tatum did was like, oh my word, if I let this guy let off one shot, it could
I'm
be
done.
light. So
and he just managed to sink his shot just before Trae Young's ball went in.
Trae Young's ball went in. So he was like, I'm gonna try from Steph range.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real here. Steph's in the house. I'm gonna do what Steph does.
I'm gonna do what Steph does, and he did it.
And it was impressive to see a young man. I mean, how many years in the league now?
Oh, I think this is
It's
he's a sophomore, so
it's his second year.
Second year, yeah.
So 2 years in the league, you win the skills challenge. I mean, that's something to brag about.
No, definitely, and he'll definitely tell his kids about it.
Yeah,
I
think one of them was there.
Yeah,
one of them was there. I don't think the kid knows what happened, but one day, son, you were actually
here's a picture when I won the skills challenge.
Yeah,
I think one of the surprising things, though, moving away from the skills challenge, was the 3-point contest and just the result.
Why surprising, Cyrus? I beg to differ with you.
Of course, you'll beg to differ, but the reality is, you were surprised that Joe Harris won the 3-point contest. It was
Joe who? From where?
Yeah, you remember him from from last season when you were still supporting the Cavaliers.
Oh yeah.
But how's that for taking a dig at this guy? But the thing was, this was billed as being brother versus brother, Steph Curry versus Seth Curry, and you almost didn't see that there was a Devin Booker who was involved,
defending champion,
exactly,
Danny Green who actually had one good round, and
you had a whole bunch of guys who were involved, and they did okay, but it really came down to Steph basically shooting the lights out at one point. And then Joe Harris just saying, look, there's no pressure on. I'm just going to go for it. And this guy from the Brooklyn Nets had no fear, and he just went for it, Kaunda. What did you think of the performance?
Cyrus, I'm going to play the advocate of the person that is not very popular and say, Steph gave it to him.
No. Look, as much as I love Steph, there's no ways Steph gave it to him in Charlotte. Because winning it in his hometown would have meant
so much.
Considering that even before the 3-point contest started, Del Curry came out there. Steph was really playing up the whole being at home thing, and it was a big deal. But Joe Harris just had what it took, especially in the final round. Pressure is a big deal, and he had no pressure on him, and he did what he needed to do.
Because Cyrus, some of those shots that Steph missed, he can get those in his sleep. This is the guy who shoots from the tunnel.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here?
But it's different. People miss. He's a human being.
Is he just, this is the 2015 3-point contest winner. Yeah. Look, and the leading...
He's been close. He's lost finals, the 3-point contest finals before.
Okay, Cyrus, enough respect to Joe Harris. I'm not disrespecting Joe Harris in any way, but when I saw Joe Harris take on Steph, I was just like, lights out. I could have even gone to sleep. I'm like, you know what? If it wasn't for the dunk contest, Steph's got this. I'll read it in the morning.
But that was what made it so beautiful.
And it was so fantastic just to see Joe Harris hold on and say, look, I'm
hold on. He absolutely killed him. And the way you win the 3-point contest is you start hot. Joe Harris did exactly that. When he got the ball in the final round, he just smashed those shots. He was going for it, and it put the pressure on Steph. So Steph started well. I mean, he made his money ball rack straight up, and he was just ridiculous. In fact, no, it was first rack, sorry. But Joe Harris just had more on the day, and I think more power to him. It's great. I think he's going to be a good player in the league. And what I liked about Joe Harris was that he was so humble after the win as well.
Oh, yeah.
And the way he talked about his team, the Brooklyn Nets, and what they're doing in Brooklyn, because he was one of 2 Nets who was actually at the All-Star weekend with D'Angelo Russell taking part in the All-Star game. Well, I say 2 Nets. It was 3 because Jared Allen was also involved. But when you look at what they're doing, it's these guys who have been counted out before. Yeah. And I think that's something that Kenny Atkinson has been doing. Kenny Atkins, at the coach of the Nets, is that he's trying to tell these guys, I'm not giving up on you. The city of Brooklyn is not giving up on you. So you don't have to give up on yourself. And now people are saying, is Joe Harris the new Kyle Korver? I mean, look, that's a high praise.
Look, Korver's a G.
Yeah, exactly. But he could go underrated and just do what he needs to do shooting wise. Yeah. Because, the league is full of your JJ Redicks, your Marco Bellinellis, guys who are good shooting guards. They don't have to do all the other stuff. They just have to catch the ball and shoot the ball. And I think Joe Harris could be that guy.
But Cyrus, before we move on, gotta give a shout out to Buddy Hield.
Yes.
Buddy Hield, the improvement on that 3-point shot, I've been talking about it in his game, the way him and De'Aaron Fox are playing off each other, but real quick, he did very well.
He really did.
I mean, to get to the final three, with a 19-point shooting. I mean, that was fantastic. And he had 26 in round one.
No, his first round was spectacular.
Buddy Hield. I think we need to watch that 3-point shot of his.
There is that, and I think that's also one of the reasons why the Sacramento Kings have been so good, because Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox have really come to the party, and they're not letting up. They're showing the world that they're here to play.
Now, Cyrus, now we come to my event.
Yes, the slam dunk contest, your favorite.
I can still dunk.
You dunk those wings into that sauce.
Those donuts in that coffee. Cyrus, you have no idea. So, I was looking at the slam dunk contest and I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe this young boy called Dennis Smith Jr. is just going to show them again, because he was so close last time. And remember, although Donovan Mitchell won, we did agree that Dennis
had the best dunk.
Had the best dunk of the night, right?
Remember
we spoke about that and we were like, whatever. But I was going for John Collins. When I crashed my maths, I'm like, John Collins,
like John Collins is a big, he'll bring something.
He'll do something. He'll be one of those big guys who's going to do some spectacular stuff. But that wasn't meant to be.
I think the judges just didn't see the degree of difficulty in the dunks that he did, and that was tough on him, because grabbing the backboard on his first dunk is ludicrous.
It's fantastic. He grabbed the back of the backboard, and went to dunk.
Craziness.
But if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. But big shout out to the judges. They were fair.
I think they got it right most of the way.
They do get a replay, so they do get to
change the decision
the decision. But at the end of the day, the winner won. But to me, what was more impressive, and I was glad his teammates were there. Poor George was there. You saw Russell Westbrook going to help him with one of the dunks, and he kept on egging him on, because even with the last dunk that he did that sealed the deal, he was like, all the way up, young man. He was giving him that. That arm like to go. Hamidou
Diallo was just sensational on the day. Absolutely sensational. And this boy, whose family hails from Guinea, he was the hops on him.
Is he a Guinean or?
He is Guinean.
Guinean.
Yeah, I mean, he is Guinean.
Not a Guinean.
No. He might say he's American. He is born in the U.S., native of New York, but his family hails from Guinea.
Guinea roots.
Yeah, and what's amazing about his dunking was just how simple he made everything look. That I think, obviously, and this is one of the things that had been bugging me for the last couple of years in the dunk contest, the best dunk on the night never got the trophy. I keep going back to Aaron Gordon's
the sit over the mascot.
Yeah, dunk. I mean, that dunk is iconic.
Absolutely.
I can't think of any other. It should have won the contest there and then. And so it said to me that there was issues around how the scoring goes, because that's a 60. You can't even give that dunk a 50. You might even give it 100.
I'm with you.
But I think that what was great about Hamidou Diallo's dunk was, fine, it was a 50, because I think Dennis Smith Jr. also got a 50. But to jump over Shaq, and then still hang by your elbow on the rim,
Vince Carter style,
mental. Especially when you're releasing the Superman S, you've got to do some flying.
Absolutely, and he joins 3 Supermen in the dunk contest. Right?
Yeah.
The first was Shaq himself, who had the Superman tattoo on his arm.
Yeah.
Then you had Dwight Howard, who wore the cape and the Superman suit. Now you got Hamidou Diallo.
Yeah.
So he joins an elite team of Supermen there.
And he lived up to it, and more power to him. We love this young African guy. He's doing so well at the Thunder. His teammates love him, and I think the Thunder are going to be a monstrous team going into the end of the season. But Diallo,
wasn't he injured earlier this season?
He was. He was. So to see him come back,
There was a time he got a little scary, and I thought, oh Lord, I hope it's not one of those big injuries. And to see him come back
and then win the
dunk contest and actually win. Cyrus. Big shout outs. Africa, stand up, I'll say.
No, definitely. That was All-Star Saturday night. Fantastic. The All-Star game itself was just. It was great. It had it all. I was backing Team Giannis. It looked so good for me. So good. Team Giannis cruising. And then it just fell apart.
So as I do the I told you so dance.
Yes, do it. It's fine. I accept this. I know that you're going to be insufferable. What can we say?
No, Cyrus, but there's 2 reasons why I supported Team LeBron. First of all, I'm a LeBron fan. Everybody knows that. Reason number 2 is he had so many shooters.
He really did.
He
There were too
stacked
many.
up that team
It
with
was
shooters.
crazy.
And when you've got shooters, the only shooter he was missing really in my books was Steph Curry.
Yeah.
But other than that, he had all the other shooters. And I knew it like, oh Lord. First of all, he gets his arch nemesis in my books, who's Kevin Durant, to join him initially. And you
First
know,
pick.
It's crazy.
First pick. Who's going to win it? You know? And that's it. And even KD before the All-Star game said, who else he going to pick?
Who else he going to pick? Who else is LeBron going to pick? What else is he going to do?
Because Steph got really cold. He couldn't hit a shot. Russell Westbrook was taking really poor shots.
Cyrus, what happened to my MVP? Remember me mouthing off that although I'm team LeBron, Russell could take that MVP.
Yeah, he wasn't even close. I think Russell Westbrook
soul.
was actually having fun this year. The last couple of years, he's gone out with a chip on his shoulder, and he's gone out there and he's scored buckets for days. But he wasn't even driving. There's times where he'd drive to the hoop and pass.
I've got the answer.
Yeah.
He's no longer beefing with Kevin Durant. It's over.
Okay.
It's done.
Okay, so I think that's it.
The
We're just going to have fun.
They're back, the brothers. Let's just have some fun.
Maybe he's just replaced him with his new friend, Paul George.
Oh, Hamidou Diallo. That could be his new friend, man.
But it was a great All-Star game.
That's fantastic.
And I mean, look, fine. Team LeBron definitely deserved it. They hit the shots when they needed to.
Yep.
And, you know, guys like Bradley Beal came to the party. I was actually happy to see Chris Middleton do more than we sort of expected because his three-point shooting was fantastic. He could not miss in that first half.
Yep.
And then Giannis with the dunks. I think we got to talk about Giannis and Steph.
Giannis and Steph, there was some chemistry there.
Really great chemistry.
That makes you think maybe Steph should go to the Bucks or Giannis to the Warriors.
Well, there's articles speculating because there's something that I saw recently where I'll find out who the journalist was, but he says it's not a given that when Giannis's contract is up in 2020 that he's going to stay in Milwaukee. He said all the things about staying there, loving the city, wanting to do it there. But if a Warriors were to come around and say, Giannis,
how's it going?
How San Francisco's not so bad, would he stay? Maybe this is a conversation for another podcast.
Definitely, but it's worth mentioning.
But I think their combination in the All-Star game was fantastic. And Steph's bounce pass to Giannis's dunk was one of the most insane plays in an All-Star game.
But Sai, if I ask you, did you think this game was a bit tamer than last All-Star?
To a degree, because I think there was a lot of fooling around, a lot of missed shots, and I think especially in the first half, the guys were playing. Then in the second half, things just there was something that turned.
It got a little bit serious.
Yeah, it got serious. It got serious real quick. There was actually a moment between Joel Embiid and Kevin Durant, if you remember, in the first half, where sort of bumped shoulders, mouthed at each other, and KD, there wasn't a smile on his face.
He was
like okay,
let's keep this game flowing.
You know, he was he was ready to just win. So, but I do think that late in the game, it definitely got serious. It was a lot more fun because you saw the competitiveness. People were actually trying to block each other. Joel definitely blocked a few people. And I think they were like, oh, okay, you're going to do that to me?
No, Joel's out there to have fun, but also to prove himself.
Oh, you know that guy.
You know, he's all about the trolls. He's all about the trolls.
He is.
I think he might be asking whose man's is this very soon.
So, what is your favorite moment of the All-Star game?
My favorite moment of the All-Star game, first of all, I got two.
Yeah.
You remember the iconic picture of Dwayne
Wade
to the glass
and
LeBron with a dunk?
Yeah.
They sort of recreated it, and it's nice that they were dressed in black again. But this time, Dwayne didn't just run away. He actually looked back to make sure that
his boy had the pass. Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, let me make sure.
Well, at his age, you know, like, oh, did I measure that right?
Actually, I have 3 moments. Cyrus,
Okay.
You've opened the tap here.
Go for it.
My second favorite was my main man, Dirk Nowitzki.
Oh, yes.
2 3-pointers in a row. Showing you guys that
he can still shoot.
I know I can't run. Yeah. I know I can't jump. I probably can't dunk anymore. But I can
still shoot.
That 3 off 1 foot thing, and it works.
And that was a beautiful moment.
It was beautiful. Then possibly not a very serious moment, but the clock was running down, and Steph was like, "You guys think all I do is shoot?"
You've stolen one of my moments. But
yeah, not bad. But that was
dunk.
iconic because I've seen him dunk in Canada.
Yeah,
I remember Popovich, who was
coaching
the team he was playing on. That time we had the Western team and the Eastern team. He was on the Western Conference team, of course, and then he dunked during the game, and Popovich had to go and stop him and say, "Hey, that's not what you do.
Don't get hurt out there, kid.
Don't get hurt. You still got the rest of the regular season."
Yeah.
And on Monday morning,
Steph released a
bounces
dunk.
the ball and released a reverse jam, and I was like,
Unreal.
oh my word.
It was unreal.
Because it was very unlike Steph.
It got lost in all of the noise around the All-Star game.
Absolutely.
Because there was obviously Team LeBron won, and then, in fact, going to my moments, I think one of them has to be when Dirk and Dwayne Wade came on together.
Iconic.
That was really great. It was a great moment. I think that they really showed what the camaraderie of this league is about, because they had their issues in the past, and they've managed to work through that stuff and see each other's greatness, and then to see them celebrate each other on the court was really, really great. You know, especially they got given those jerseys and what have you. That was a nice moment. I think Steph's bounce pass to Giannis for that dunk will forever be a moment in NBA history, and that's the kind of thing that we love about the All-Star game, is that you have these moments and they live long and they live forever.
Cyrus, that's going to be in all the highlights. From this day on going forward, every time they have NBA All-Star highlights, that dunk is going to be there. What a way to finish the game. I mean, the clock's running down.
No, but Giannis and Steph's dunk.
Oh, Giannis and Steph dunk.
And you were saying, like, the thing about that dunk was their reactions.
Yes, because I think Giannis wasn't expecting it to go that far up, and then he realized, oh my word, this is a gimme.
I got this.
Yeah, boom. And even Steph was like, what? And you know, like the celebration they did, it was just fantastic.
It was a beautiful moment.
I loved it. I think, you know, as far as highlights goes, yeah, I should have mentioned that.
Well, it's one of those things we have talked about, but I'm going to sneak a favorite highlight in.
All right.
J. Cole's halftime performance. Even LeBron James and a few of the other players had to come out of the dressing room to go and watch it. Yeah, they were like, no, we can't miss Cole. And so they watched Cole World do his thing at halftime. So it was a great spectacle. I think Charlotte put on a good show.
Okay, Cyrus, now that you brought up J. Cole, you shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
Because if we're talking highlights from the weekend,
it was his attempted
J.
dunk.
Cole's attempted dunk. You know, I promise you, Cyrus,
came out of nowhere.
Had he made that dunk, and I think the whole sweatshirt thing sort of disturbed his elevation. Had he made that dunk, you know it would be one of our highlights today.
Oh, of course. Of course. I think the attempted dunk was great.
It was
and
fantastic.
the crowd loved it.
Loved it.
And obviously
especially after what Dennis Smith Jr. did
Yeah.
just before that. And then, you know, he was wearing J. Cole's college jersey.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, J. Cole still got hops. Because I saw him play in 2015 in New York. He's quite a baller.
He's a baller. In fact, he speaks about it a lot on his songs.
I guess.
But to close the NBA All-Star Game discussion, it really was a fantastic weekend. I think that, you know, it was one of the good ones, because sometimes they've been a little underwhelming, and mainly because, you know, there's too much playing around. At one point, we thought they might score 200 points in this one.
Oh, yeah.
But even, I think it was Joel Embiid was like, no, we're going to get serious in defense in about the fourth quarter. And thank goodness they did.
They did, yeah.
But it was still fun.
No, it was great fun. Cyrus, I think sometimes when you go to a weekend like that, a whole weekend, you don't need all that seriousness. At the end of the day, you just need the fun. And you need guys to show you that windmill they've been trying to pull off, but there's too much defense during the game. That reverse jam they've been trying to pull off, but they don't want to hurt themselves by bumping into a big man trying to defend on them. So it's an opportunity for them to showcase a few of their, you know, little tricks. And for Dwayne Wade to say, yo, remember LeBron when we did that off the glass iconic thing? Let's do it
Here
again.
it
Let's
is.
do it again. Boom.
Yeah.
And Dirk Nowitzki to look at you and say, yo, Cyrus, remember my 3-point shots?
Remember me?
I still have it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a beautiful weekend.
I scored very highly insofar as, you know, all the All-Stars that I've watched.
And Chicago comes up next year, so let's see. You know,
we're in the Windy City.
Yeah, we want to be in the Windy City. It's going to be cold as all heck.
No, not we want to be. I know you don't like the cold weather, Cyrus. I know this. You're from the tropical
So I'll buy some
Southern
jackets,
African region, but we're going to layer you up. You're going to look like old school fat Cyrus. We're going to layer you up. You are in Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying this on the Post Up Podcast.
Goodness.
If you want to meet Cyrus Rogers in the flesh, Chicago, next February, he will be there.
Okay, there we go, from his mouth to God's ears. To close off the show, let's talk about the Basketball Africa League. We actually need to do a separate discussion on this.
But let's just mention
it's important. So the Africa Luncheon that happens at All-Star Weekend, hosted by the NBA Africa team, is always a great event. The last couple of years, there have been announcements around the NBA Africa game that hasn't happened this year. And I think,
even the NBA Africa Academy.
yeah, there's
NBA
always
Academy
some
Africa
amazing things that get announced at the Africa Luncheon. And you've got some great people in attendance. Michael Jordan was there this year.
MJ.
You know, you had Didier Drogba, Thierry Henry.
Yep.
There was a whole host of great celebrities who were there, including
Chineo Ogumike, one of our
Chineo
favorites.
Ogumike, as well as Casper Nyovest and Shoma
Shoma
Josie,
Josie was there.
South African musical artists. So it was interesting to see them there. And then for the commissioner to come out and actually firmly say that the Basketball Africa League is going to take place in 2020, or at least start then,
Start in 2020.
is phenomenal. Because he mentioned this at the Africa game last year, when we had a sit down with him.
So Cyrus, that's the first time the NBA has ever taken a venture of this nature outside North America.
Yeah.
How significant is this?
This is as significant as it gets, because when you think about it, fine, you have, I suppose, what the NBA are doing is that they look at basketball globally and they say Europe is fine. They've got their Euro League, they've got big teams there, the clubs are doing their thing, and we've actually used them as a feeder.
Yep.
China's got a fairly big league. Their NBA players are moving across there, guys who have played college ball and they play in the Chinese league. So that's taking care of somewhat the Asian market.
Yep.
But Africa doesn't have anything that is affiliated to a bigger brand. Yes, there are FIBA leagues, without question.
Yeah.
But an association with the NBA just takes it a step above. And this is one of the biggest deals. It might not necessarily mean that all of these guys end up now, being seen by scouts in the NBA, but there are linkages now.
No, Cyrus, and I think too what the NBA has always preached on the continent is their job here is not all about scouting.
Yeah.
It's about helping leagues in Africa become better.
Yes.
And they become more internationally competitive.
Yes.
And I think this is a step towards that. Obviously, it will start with like 12 teams.
Yeah.
And currently, I think only 9 countries have been identified, which include Angola, Egypt, Kenya, Morocco, Nigeria, Rwanda, Senegal, South Africa, and Tunisia. But obviously, the rules are there'll be no more than 2 teams per country.
Yeah.
And they're starting off with 4. And they'll start qualifiers pretty soon, before 2020, because it's expected to start early 2020. But, Cyrus, if you look at an NBA-managed league, obviously expectations and standards will be pretty high.
Very high.
And I think the best of the best are going to emerge in this league, because it's going to also have a big spotlight on it. The entire NBA organization is going to be watching it. The commissioner is going to be watching it. I know
us African basketball fans are going to be watching it.
We'll be locked onto this, and basically, hey, we should get a lot of those guys on the Post Up podcast and the Post Up show.
We definitely should, and we will. And I think what's really interesting about this, because there's a couple of other aspects that I think play into this. When you look at the NBA's development academy in Senegal, right? That NBA academy is producing some really great players. Now, a lot of those kids might not get a chance to play college ball, but now this is an opportunity for them to possibly play in teams in the Basketball Africa League, where they continue their education as basketball players and then spread the word of what's happening in the NBA academies all the way through the continent. It's also a step for some of the youngsters who've been in the junior NBA academies on the continent to start their elevation into the senior ranks and seeing what kind of players they can become. So I think it's an exciting venture for basketball in the African continent, and it's one of those where I wish I had a time machine so I could go back in time.
You took
and
the words
try it
out of my mouth. and I was actually thinking, Cyrus, I think we should get Amadou on the podcast. Amadou Galofal, the managing director and vice president for NBA in Africa, because I want to find out the Africa League. Will players be able to transition from the Africa League to the actual NBA League just like they do from the G League?
Well, I think the thing about it will be that the linkages might not be as close as that, because that would require team allegiances and what have you. But I think that it allows the scouting networks to say, look, we've actually got this player. These are the things that he can do. This is the numbers that he's putting up in a highly competitive league. This can be based against something else.
Yeah.
So rather than it just being a question of, oh, I heard these guys can play, it's a, look, these guys can play. Right. So it'll be worth talking to Amadou Galofal about that. And let's see. But I think we've got to close off the podcast with just a shout out to all of you guys who've been listening to the podcast We love that you enjoy this as much as we do, and we're putting it out there.
Absolutely.
A big shout out to Benny Bonsu, our big sister.
Yeah, big sister out there in the UK, in Ghana, wherever you are, China. We know you're global.
We know you're
Benny.
doing your thing. and to all of you basketball fans in the African continent and worldwide, because we do this for you. So make sure you interact with us on social media at Post Up Podcast on Instagram and on Twitter at Post Up Podcast. Leave a comment on this video on YouTube. And we've got some new stuff coming up real soon.
Yep.
There's going to be some really big announcements from us.
We are going into the zone.
We are going into the zone. I like that. But, more on that later. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back.
See you soon.